Going.
Hey, try to be professional, would you? Hey, I'm Jason Duplissea. I'm one of the producers on Temps.
I'm Ryan Sage. I'm the director.
And welcome to our hangout. This is our first hangout. We're pretty excited about it.
Super excited. So excited.
I can see how excited Ryan is. Actually, we are really excited about how big the response was just by announcing this. I think you came up with this like 2 or 3 days ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we announced it 2 or 3 days ago. We tweeted it out today at Temps Movie, and the response has been unbelievable. Just because we're independent filmmakers, this is my house. We're sitting here like we make a movie and then it becomes yours, and so until we're sitting in a theater with people around us, we have no idea who likes it. So first of all, just wow, thanks for being here. It's really cool.
And also thanks to all the people that supported us on Kickstarter, because that's been pretty huge too.
It's been pretty huge, yeah. So if you're new to us here and you don't know much about it yet, the best place to go is right up here, tempsmovie.com. You can find everything you want to know about us at tempsmovie.com. Like I said, we're also on Twitter at tempsmovie, Instagram at tempsmovie, facebook.com tempsmovie. Pretty much everywhere you go, if you just put in Tempsmovie, you can find us, except for Kickstarter.
It's just Temps?
It's just Temps.
It's just Temps.
It's just Temps. But but go check it out. And thanks for being here again. This is like I said, one of our first Google Hangouts that we're going to be doing here. We're going to have a lot more coming up. We have exciting guests to talk to, some surprise guests coming up. In the future, we're going to be doing more of these to get the ball rolling for the film. We'll tell you about those guests later. This one, we're focusing on production. That's why I'm here as a producer. And Ryan, you've made a movie before, haven't you?
I have. A big love story, and we also brought along Kristina. Should bring her in.
Should we say who Kristina is, or just
Kristina
bring her in?
is the producer of the last film, A Big Love Story. That'd be good for all of us to sort of.
Am I here?
Oh, there she is.
There
Hello.
she is now.
I feel left out because I don't have glasses on. What do I do? I don't feel sophisticated right now.
Now, is that better?
Because
now I feel like a part of the team.
Yay! Anyway, so
Hi,
we just
guys.
want to do the process here with Kristina and Jason about what we've learned. I mean, by no means am I an expert, but I have done a fair amount of this, and the kind of cool thing is there is no wrong way. Well, I should say there's no right way to make a movie, but there's many wrong ways.
There you go.
That's clever. I like that.
Plenty of wrong ways.
And we'd like you to participate. This is live right now. We're going to be doing this till about 9:30. We have a little Q&A app open. If you're watching us on the Google Hangouts, you can submit questions, and we'll answer you there. If you can't figure out Google Hangouts, because we couldn't figure it out, you can go to our YouTube page. If you're watching this on YouTube, just leave a little comment, or you can email us your questions at tempsmovie.com. And we're just going to take you through the process of making an independent film. Kristina and Ryan have already done this. We're in the midst of doing this here, so I'm going to make them...
Oh, pros we are! Pros. No, I finally feel like I look my age again, you know, having aged so much during that No, I'm just kidding.
The reason we have you on here, Kristina, is because you're much better to look at than we are.
Yeah. No, not on set. Not on set at all.
Yeah, Jason is very pretty on set. It's very important, I think, for a producer to look good on set always, and Jason spent a lot of time in makeup.
Well, if you saw our makeup girl, you would have spent a lot of time.
You had a makeup girl and I did not?
Sorry.
It's fine, it's fine.
All right.
Ryan has to step up his game, I get it.
All right. So I have labeled this the 3 secrets, and really what this is for me is like the 3 things that I feel like that we've done a lot of that has been successful for us and that I don't necessarily see other people doing. So this is the 3 things that I think make us, how we do our movies, slightly different than other people. And those 3 things are simplification, which is, well, we'll explain it. We'll explain it in a sec.
It's like writing a thesis.
Yeah. Simplification, casting, which is always important, but there's a fun way of doing that, and Craigslist, which is...
Oh, yeah.
That's the magic.
Saved me.
Yeah. So as we go through the process, we'll kind of jump back into those things and how those things are important. But starting with simplification, like what I find helps, because like when you think about making a feature film, it is intimidating. It's like, how in the world am I going to make a feature film when I have like hardly any money and very little resources? So I think you have to make it as simple as you possibly can in your mind. When me and Kristina did the first film, we shot only on weekends, which in my mind, to simplify that, it was basically making a short film like every week. It's just, yeah, it was I found it a lot easier to manage when I just thought, like, I have 5 days to prep for a short film. And so I think you make it small, bite-sized. They're basically like 6 things that you need to make a movie. You need actors, you need story, a script, you need a camera, sound, food.
Food.
Very important.
Yeah.
And location.
Great.
Right?
Yeah, that's what we need.
So I mean, like, I think if you just don't make it any harder than that, you just need those basic things and try to make it as simple as possible and focus on only getting those 6 things. If you have those 6 things, you can make a movie. Anyone can make a movie.
Kristina, did you have any sort of extraneous or crazy demands when you were doing a big love story that wasn't one of these simple things?
Besides keeping Ryan happy?
Yeah, besides...
You know, I think what's interesting, as you know, Jason, and Ryan knows, you play so many different parts as a producer on an independent movie. And I think, so for me, it was my first feature. I had only ever done a couple of shorts and maybe a play or something before that. I really had no idea what I was doing. And I think for me it was learning just how to sort of wear all those different hats, how to sort of show up and be the cheerleader for all of the actors and making sure they're happy, making sure they're fed, being craft services, sort of like, it's almost like you kind of need to refresh yourself on how to just manage people, you know what I mean, and managing expectations. And if you lose a location and have to change it at the last minute, or if you lose an actor and have to, it's, you know, sort of always keeping that positive attitude regardless of the terrible things going on behind the scenes. And so for me, I think just the biggest challenge was always like rising up to you know, that level of optimism that you have to continue to have so that everyone on set is happy. You know what I mean? Like, that was my biggest challenge because, you know, inside I'm freaking out going, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm doing, but you can't really show that because you need to sort of be I always said, like, I was sort of the mama on set where I was like, I have to, like, pretend like everything's fine so that my kids are happy, you know. So that was the biggest challenge and learning experience for me, was maintaining that level of positivity and optimism against all the odds, you know what I mean? Yeah.
You had a similar, what was your basic theory of...
my basic theory? Well, my mantra was,
yeah.
You good? Can I get you something? Do you need water? Can I get some water? I'll get you some.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, how are you doing? How you doing? You good?
Checking in.
Just checking in. Just thinking, can I get you some water? That was really what I said most of the time, the entire thing. Can I get you some water? Do you want some
water?
Not
being annoying, right? Like, you don't want to be a nuisance or pestering them or taking them out of their role, but it's like, yeah, that's kind of what you're there for, is keep everybody happy.
Right, to be there, to be the person who's thinking of something just as or before the person realizes they need it.
Anticipating, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a simple thing to do, you know.
It's
just common sense.
That's actually that's the most important thing about filmmaking is common sense. Like, you don't have to make it harder than it is. Like, it's actually really simple, and that's what simplification. What I mean by that, it's not harder than it is. It's a camera, and obviously you can get a lot more complex, but on its base level, it is a simple concept. It's putting somebody in front of a camera and shooting it and capturing it.
Yeah, and I feel like the whole thing is if you are a person who is organized, you are going to do very well trying to put a movie together. People who don't have that kind of naturally, it's going to be challenging because so much of it is staying organized, being on top of deadlines of, you know, getting location permits or this, that, and the other. And if you can just sort of be as organized as possible and keep your ducks in a row like the whole time, you're not going to nothing's going to sort of fail in the process. It's going to be the movie's going to happen. It's going to be completed, and you're going to be okay. So if you're not organized, then you need to have someone next to you who is to sort of play that role for you. That's a huge tool in making a film.
Yeah. I feel like that's true for just about anyone or anything, is that people seem to think that there's a way to do something, and that if you're doing a movie, there must be a way to do a movie that's the right way to do something. Whereas it's just as easy anywhere you go. If you pass some guy on the street and say, "Do you want some water?" He'd be happy to have some water, right?
All right. So let's talk about getting a script. So I had sort of what I think is kind of a unique approach for how I found actually a script for both these. I actually got a script for A Big Love Story and for Temps at the same time, and I did that by.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very,
so glad I'm attending this.
Yeah.
Hangout.
So I knew I had written some stuff, but it was like I knew it was going to be too expensive, and I have a lot of friends that are writers, but I didn't find anything from many of them that I felt like was also in my budget range.
I was going to say that you could make.
Yeah, that I could make. So, and I know that, like, especially like Los Angeles is so filled with talented people, and it's just a matter of getting to them. And when you don't have money, you can't really go to an agent because an agent cares about money. So I decided to put an ad in Craigslist asking for scripts, for low-budget scripts. And I was very straightforward. This is another thing, you know, if there was a fourth secret, it would be, I think, be ethical, be as straightforward as you possibly can. And, you know, like, I feel like when you put out good, you get good back. So as good as you can treat people and being as straightforward, because I think everybody, like on a low-budget film, everybody has a common goal of wanting to make a good movie, and so there's no reason to deceive anybody. We're all trying to do the same thing, and so I think you just be as straightforward as possible. You're trying to make a good project. Everyone wants to make a good project, and you want to get everyone behind you. So I did that. Let me actually...
Well, let me piggyback on what you were saying before about simplifying, and Kristina can speak to this too. Something that I have a theater background, and a lot of times I'll go see a play that you wait 10 minutes in between every scene change because people are writing plays like screenplays. And you're watching a guy in a car, and then you're watching a guy in an elevator, and then you're watching a guy, and all these scenes are supposed to be taking places in all these different places. It's really difficult to have this sort of theater imagination when you're watching it in front of you. On the opposite side, when you're making a film, something that Ryan brought to me and was looking for was something that's basically like a one-room. The best thing to do would be a one-room movie. Like, I just watched The Breakfast Club the other day, and I was watching it going, my goodness, this
One location.
movie this is. They're in one place the whole time.
So let me read the ad that I actually placed in Craigslist.
Love this.
So it's that. So it says, I'm looking for a finished comedy script, preferably romantic comedy, to direct. I would be personally funding this, so it needs to be low budget. $500 up front, and when we can work out a deal for, and we can work out a deal if it sells or gets distribution. This would really be more about someone who wants their script to be made into a movie. If you care about money, this probably isn't for you. But if you are interested, please send a logline of your script, and I'll get back to you. You can see some of my work here, and then I put my website because I feel it's important, like, to be, again,
a real person.
Yeah. Yeah, because like otherwise it just sounds like you're stealing ideas or something. And we got about 50 or so responses, and actually Big Love Story, which at that time the first version of it came to me. It's The Wait War, and then we renamed it to Worth the Wait, and then it got renamed again to A Big Love Story when we got distribution. But
so many names.
Yeah.
Do we have a graphic for this?
No, but actually, if you look behind Kristina, there's a Worth the Wait on one side and a Big Love Story.
Look, y'all. This one was Worth the Wait. Was our premiere. I don't know if anybody can even. Oh my God, I'm the worst camera person. This is why I don't do that. And then this one is The Big Love Story, but it's the same project. But you know what? None of my friends know that when they come over, and I look cool. I produced so many movies.
So the quick little reason why we changed the name. first time I changed it was because I thought it was a little bit more punny, funny. So that's why I changed it first time to worth the wait, and WEIGHT for wait. And then the second time, when we were looking for distribution, I can't remember who told. I think it was a producer's rep told me about the fact that if you have your movie title with a number or in the first like 3 letters of the alphabet, so A through C, it's something like, I'm going to screw up these numbers, but it's something like 10,000 times more likely a person will watch it on VOD versus if it's with a W.
Scrolling all the way to the bottom.
Because TVs scroll through the VOD and people tire out. And even if they're going to look for your movie, they might see something else along the way. They're like, oh, I wanted to see Blue Crush, you know. And
yeah.
Jason.
So
yes.
the outdoor with 0.
Yeah. I've been searching for the new Star Wars TV show, and every time I put in star in my search engine, like some adult-only video is at the top, like 5-star dudes doing something.
Because it's 5.
Because it's on the top, and the number 5 is on top, and every single time I'm like, I wonder about the kids who are searching for Star Wars, and that adult thing shows up on the top. We actually have a question, Ryan.
Oh.
Yeah, Jeff here wants to know where you post on Craigslist. Like, it's okay. There's a lot here, but it's. So do you just post in Los Angeles? I guess is the question, or do you post?
I just posted in Los Angeles, but the interesting thing was that the writer Dale Zawada was from Chicago on Worth the Wait, and I thought most of the responses would come from LA, but actually I think more than half came from outside of LA, and my guess is that because everyone is so skeptical in Los Angeles.
LA is like, okay, you got a great response. The guy was like, whatever, dude. Like.
Yeah, so I have one. Yeah, what was it?
Fraud or whatever you are. Yeah.
The one I got one email that was not too excited about it. The only response was $500 question mark moron. Try minimum of 25,000 and up, jackass. Which, by the way, is the entire budget of the film. So, you know, I'm not sure if that makes feasible sense to spend $25,000 on the script for like it was that big.
But thanks for the question, Jeff. If you have a question, we'd love to hear from you here on our Q&A. This just came in. You can also email us questions at tempsmovie.com, tweet us at tempsmovie, follow us on Instagram at tempsmovie, facebook.com/tempsmovie. If you're not already doing it, do it, or retweet and share it so all your friends can do it too. And you can check out A Big Love Story where, Kristina?
Oh my gosh. Well, where is it now, Ryan? I don't even know.
Probably the best place is Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that's where, okay, the DVD.
Yeah. Or you can go to, if you go to abiglovestory.com, you can actually see there's a Craigslist tab on there, and you can click on there and you can see the actual ad that I wrote and the response that I just read. It's very exciting.
Does worththewait.com still work too?
I don't actually know.
Redirect you?
That's a good question.
Can someone check that out?
Yeah, it's so interesting because half of our fans still know it as that because half of the film festival circuit that we went on was with Worth the Wait as the title, and then the rest of the half was A Big Love Story. So I think it's, you know, people still go, what's A Big Love Story? Oh, Worth the Wait, you know, so you have to. Yeah. It's 2 names.
We lost a lot of name equity on that. So going on through the process. So one thing that I think is important, when you're a director, is you take the script, yes, and you really try to personalize it as much as possible, because I think the more you can make it like about an individual experience, I can't think of the right term, like
personalize it.
Yeah, the more you can like personalize it, the more it's relatable. Like somehow it's like the smaller you kind of make it, and the more relatable it is. So I think it's really important to go through and take the script and keep the basic ideas of it, but find like little storylines or things that you can put your own spin on it, because I think that's really what makes a movie relatable. Because it's sort of an interesting thing. Like a script is a foundation, but it's really a director's medium in a lot of ways. And when a director takes over, they put their vision on it. So in a lot of ways, like you lose what the writer's intentions were sometimes, because you maybe don't have the same experiences or whatever, and you put your own intentions, and the movie kind of evolves. and then that's why you're shooting, and then of course it gets redone again when you're editing it, because then you're just trying to solve things and make a movie that makes sense. But I think that that's a real important part, is if you're directing something, to really go through the script and try to put as many personal stories into it, even if it's not your own story.
You're right.
And that's pretty common. I mean, that's what most directors do, regardless of the level of filmmaking, right? I mean, it seems to me that
It's all rewriting, yeah, and
yeah,
I mean,
they always make it your own. Yeah, and you work with the writer to do that, and you know, as a writer myself, I've had that happen, and I'm kind of like, at first I was like, wait, what's going on? And then it's like, of course, like if I'm not the one shooting it, I can't, you know, I need that director has to have their vision and see how they want to tell the story, and whether it's a plot change or character change or whatever, it's what fits their vision, because that's their job, you know. So it's a common thing, and I think it's important. Yeah.
We got lucky on both movies where the writers, I think, really, both Dale and then Tim Bennett Huxtable on Temps, they were both integral through the whole process. Like, I would write stuff and then send it back to them, and then they would put a pass on it and send it back, and so it was like a back and forth. So it's really harmonious. It's not always that way with writers, because as Kristina's right, and we're all writers here actually, you become very attached to your thing, and it hurts when someone wants to.
I think that's why many directors write and direct their own stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because they don't, like, it's like hard to go through that process.
Yeah, because then you're like, well, I have a $25,000 script here, and you can't change it.
No.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Something interesting, I'm sure.
Talk about like having more than just a story to market. Like, we had like.
Well, the phrase that popped into that Ryan and I batted around was called, you know, have your story, have a story. So what's interesting about the this whole deal of buying things on Craigslist or talking with the writers this way is that, you know, as you said, we're independent filmmakers. We're just doing this for the love of movies, and we're doing this Kickstarter at you know, search for Temps at Kickstarter and donate. There's lots of really cool incentives. We had a really cool incentive that happened today, by the way. Somebody said, I want this, and we said, you can have it if you donate. And she went, I'll donate, and we gave her whole new incentive named after her. That can happen to you if you want.
Yeah, if you don't see the incentive that you want, just ask for it, and we'll make it up for you.
Right. But big studio pictures, I mean, you can drive and see a bus ad, and it's got just a picture of Tom Cruise on it, and that's all they need to market their movie. And everyone will go because it's a Tom Cruise movie. We don't have that. So for a big love story, I don't know if we can see Kristina's picture again, but I think it even says from a script bought off of Craigslist.
Right.
Oh yeah, you won't be able to read that, but it sure does.
It says at the top of her head.
Right, and that's interesting. You know, that's something that tells you something about the movie that's interesting. That isn't just the movie. You're not just pushing the movie.
And we'll talk about it later on too when we get into the distribution thing. But having that story allows people an easy way for people to write about it, and that's what you want to do, is make it as easy as possible for somebody to write a story or to report on it, or like, hey, did you hear that movie? They bought a script off Craigslist. What?
For $500.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it gives them so much to work with as far as just being able to write an article or promote it, you know, because that's a headline right there, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you have something else, you know, like your movie's about cancer, or it's, you know, you want to try to find things that have an outside story, or like this Temps movie, I'm going to try to focus more on the fact that the cast that we were able to get with the budget we have, because it's kind of crazy, the people that have signed on to do this film for what we're paying. And so that's what I really want to try to focus on, is like, look at these amazing people we're able to get.
Right. Well, and for you, if you're making a film, this would be a story that someone once said to me once. Would you rather, if I came up to you, would you rather go see, hey, here's a movie that I heard of. The guy sold the script on Craigslist for $500, and this guy made a movie about it. Or can you believe this guy on a shoestring budget? He got Lindsay Shaw, Grant Rosenmeyer, Eden Scher, Reed Ewing, and Chris Bauer. These are all like big name people in this movie, and he did it for, you know, these two guys just did it. We got to go see that. Would you rather go see that movie, or would you rather someone walked up and said, hey, you want to go see this movie my friend made?
It's a romantic comedy.
Yeah. Answer me.
Well, we're done. Turn it off.
Goodbye. Thanks for hanging out.
They know everything they need to know.
Got a microphone. You can...
Oh, well, I have this.
That's when you close the laptop. You're just like.
That just happened.
Okay. While we have this break here, I do want to reiterate that a lot of the reason we're here talking today is because we do have this film already made in the can. Temps is done, shot, and one of these things that you were just talking about is what we're experiencing now is that a lot of what was on the page and what Ryan brought to it, there's a bit of, we were surprised when we got the film edited together that things felt a little different on screen than they felt on paper. So we just have a couple touch-up things that we need to do.
We're going to go back and reshoot some stuff. There's some just like tonal stuff that it's always so hard to know. When you're shooting, we shot basically 16 days, all on road with 2 days off. And as opposed to a big love story where we shot for 2 days, had prep for 5 days, and I would edit like Monday through Wednesday, and then we'd rewrite, and then be passing out scripts on Friday. And it's pretty funny. I think like halfway through the movie, I can't remember if it was Robbie or Jillian, somebody asking about like, hey, where's that kid in the script who got written out like a long time ago? Like they were so lost in the movie because
like, what movie are we even making right now?
yeah. I was like, you just gotta trust it. It's gonna be good. But this one, so we didn't have that luxury, and so there's some stuff that you just can't quite tell, and a lot of people do. I mean, like. Woody Allen, he shoots like 3/4 of the movie and then takes off like a month or two and then goes back and shoots the last part so you can see what he's doing. Ed Burns does that, so it's a common thing. If you can schedule into your schedule a break, that is the best possible scenario. Shoot like 75% of your movie, schedule a break, and then come back. That would really improve your chances of making a good movie.
Yeah, and so. This is our break, and then we're coming back, and we're just putting the final touches on it, and we want you to be a part of it with all these fantastic incentives we have. You can actually be sitting here with us as a producer for the high enough contribution, and that would be awesome, because we want you here. Look, there's a space right here. We can even put your name right there.
That's sweet.
Hey, Kristina, wasn't there a long break in Big Love Story too? Didn't you guys do a whole bunch of stuff months?
Brian, what did we shoot? Was it 22 days total?
I think it was more because we reshot on that a lot because like would, and then we take a break and like Robbie got cornrows in his hair.
Robbie got cast in another movie. He got cornrows. Tommy got cast in something very big and had to shave his head. Who was a supporting lead. And then our other actors, there was all hair things, like cut their hair, dyed their hair.
And he had a beard and long hair. And then Jillian
happening in scenes. It was crazy. Yeah, some of the production was delayed because of that, but because they were
actually good because it allowed me a chance to edit and sort of.
Yeah, I mean it's funny when I tell people I think the total shooting days was like 24, something like around normal independent movie days, but it was spread out for so many months. You know what I mean? What was it like?
6 months.
9 months? 6 months?
It was like, maybe
I feel like the very last day was like 8 months later, 9 months later, or something.
It was the day before the festival. Yeah. Day before
yeah. I mean, it was but it was very, very spread out, and I think it if I, as an actor, I mean, for me, I was like so lost as to what movie I was even making anymore. So they were really great about, the cast was amazing that they put that faith in you and us, and just as the production to sort of buy into the fact that there was something really good happening, and not just like sort of lost in the world of independent filmmakers. So it was good.
I was happy that the shoots needed reshoots because then I got to be in the movie.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that. Like this, we'll jump ahead. We're going to jump ahead right now to the locations because
I can't work without a script.
Because that's something that that is one thing about when you do low budget thing. There is a price for everything, and when you get it for free, sometimes it's not good. It doesn't come like the restaurant that Kristina.
first restaurant. Yeah, I mean, it was a friend had a restaurant and donated the thing for us on a day they weren't going to be, or they were open later in the day or something, and it was great. And then they didn't show up to let the entire team. And
Yeah, there was like 40 extras, and like the whole crew was sitting out there for I think an hour and a half, and the guy said his cell phone died, and then he finally showed up. So that was.
I mean, when you own a restaurant.
And then he had to be out. We had to be out. It was a hard out no matter what at 2. So we weren't able to finish all the scenes, and then we had to reshoot, and then Jason got cast as the new waiter. So it all worked out.
It all worked out. Yeah. Yeah, we had it was certainly interesting. And also, have you mentioned, you talk about locations in order to sort of maximize the budget, how you can be really creative when you get one location?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys did that in Temps. Did you do that in Temps?
Yeah, we did. There was one location that served as three different places. We did an apartment scene, we did a restaurant scene, and we did a club scene, all in one place.
And yeah.
Yeah.
What was that place called?
Do we want to give them a free plug?
What was it? House of Gods. That was it.
House of Gods.
That was also where we got raided by Homeland Security for human trafficking.
Talk about standing around outside before shooting happened. Yeah.
So
that'll be on the DVD commentary.
Was that at a sound stage?
No, it was more like an art place, but they do shoots there, like music videos and stuff like that. But it was just a place that we could easily change out to different things, because we did the alleyway too. We did like an alley, a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, we did the alley too.
The end scene where the poetry slam thing, and then the car thing. So we shot a lot of things actually. In that
the way permits work, and maybe they work differently now, but because you're on such a limited amount of time, and if you have a location for one day or maybe 2 days, it's like if you can just be as creative as possible and use that location to its max. I mean, shoot outside in the alleyway behind the spot and make that a totally different place, and go inside one of the bathrooms at the place and then call that I mean, we used the bowling alley for, it was like the back, outside of it was the gym, the back side door of the gym, and then there was the locker room, which served as the locker room at the gym in the movie, and we used a little eating area that we used as a bar, and I mean, we got very lucky to actually, and it wasn't until we were in the space that we realized how many different things we could use that place for, but it's a very, very, big money-saving tip if you can do that with it.
It was part of locations, yeah, and so talk about maybe some of the ways that you find locations, like how, because we did a Craigslist. Again, this is one of the things. Craigslist is...
It's one of the 3 secrets.
It's one... Shh, don't tell anyone. But Craigslist, and then the other one that we found our bar in was on Yelp.
Yeah.
You can go on Yelp, and I just went and asked a question in a Yelp group saying, like, does anyone know of a bar that we could shoot in? And somebody said something like, oh, there's this the little bar. I've seen people shoot there before, something like that. And then you just go and knock on their door. Sort of just to give like a general sense, if you're in LA, price range now is right around $500 to like $1,500 for if you're doing a low budget film. It's like $5,000 if you're doing a big budget film. We've gone to some
per day.
Yeah, per day. We've got services to help. What was the guy? You remember he sent like thing? This is a way around the.
Yeah, well, there's 2 ways around some things. One is we replied to an ad on Craigslist, and there's basically location brokers, like real estate brokers out there, and they run these websites where they say, here's all these places that we can broker for you. So one of the locations that we went to, I went to his website, and he had pictures of the location, and the name of the location was right on the front of it. So I just looked up in Yelp by the name of the location, and I called them directly, and I said, hey.
It's because the thing is, those other, if you go through brokers, it's always like $5,000 or something like that. But you know that those places that they're representing are location friendly, and so it's just a matter of whether they'll do a low budget film. Because the broker won't ever even offer them the what we would have to offer, and that's sort of the issue I have with it, is like, just see it, because like if you have a choice between making $1,000 or not on a day, when you just have to show up, maybe they would take it, but they would never offer that. So that's why sometimes you got to be.
And I feel like too, you know, there's shooting in LA, obviously in LA proper is always going to be more expensive because these people have probably 9 out of 10 times been hit up at least once by filmmakers to film at their spot. But if you can sort of like get outside LA a little bit, driving distance, I think you have a lot better luck getting these people to sort of work with you on the price.
Absolutely.
And really, huh?
People let you for free. Like,
right, yeah, and there's nothing that can really replace that FaceTime. You know, you can email, you can call, but like going and visiting a spot and just saying hey and making that kind of personal connection will really get you.
That's a really good point, because like we did a lot of that. Like you have to go in person so they see that you're not some crazy person.
Exactly. And just say like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we need. Like, what can we work out with you guys? Like, you know what I mean? And you know, like our bowling alley, Mission Hills Bowling, was so amazing to us, and they were so flexible. I mean, we went back and shot there, and they had all these extras that they sort of donated from their bowling league for us.
They raised the price when we went back to shoot there.
They did. But but like because we kind of went outside LA and it just I don't know. I felt like I had a lot better luck with those kind of places and those people than you know, Santa Monica or the middle of LA. Everyone's like, oh no, you know, they think movie and they think we have all this money. Like, oh okay. You know what I mean?
One thing that me and Jason learned on this one that we didn't really have issues with, like we were able to make sort of good faith deals, but when like 3 or 4 of our locations, Jason would set up a thing, but we didn't go get the paper sign, like just a basic memo location agreement, which you can just like all contracts and stuff are online. Like there's places you can buy them for like $19.95, or you can pretty much find them anywhere. So, but it's just really simple. Like deal memos, I think again simplify. Just make like whenever if you're not doing a big thing, make the deals as simple as possible, and just all it is like what time you're going to be there, maybe how many people are going to be there, how much it's going to be. I mean, that's the main thing is just basically like when and how much.
Right.
We have a question. Sarah here wants to know if she can have a list of the locations we shot for Temps so she can go visit them. Maybe we get after the movie. We'll do that because that would be fun.
Did you give them your home address?
Temps tour.
The Temps tour, yes. I think that would be fun. Yes, we'll
send
say
a TMZ Temps tour.
That's right.
They have the TMZ thing.
Hey, do you know what TMZ stands for, by the way?
I did it one time.
This is actually kind of what we're talking about here, but maybe we can talk about it some other time because it has nothing to do with our movie. It stands for 30 Mile Zone, which is the 30 miles in Los Angeles that is local that you have to pay an actor. If you go further than 30 miles outside of this circle, then it's location.
Crew 2. That'll be on the actor's thing. So go ahead.
I have one other thing to say about locations because earlier I said there were 2 things. About locations. One is the broker and skipping the broker, but the other thing is if you go to a location, you can walk next door. And while you're there, and you can just walk in next door and say, hey, will you shoot here? Because sometimes we just ate lunch at some place one day and we said, this place would work. And I called him up and he said something like $35,000 he wanted for the day. And I said, oh, no thanks. But we walked down the street and there was another place there that wasn't listed anywhere, and we just sort of walked in. So if you go in an area and you can look around for things there. And then there was, what was the one other thing I was going to say? Oh, echoing what Kristina said, there was a location that we shot in the Valley that when I was talking with them beforehand, they specifically asked if we were using the name of their business during the shoot, and we said, well, sure. We'll give you some free advertising. We'll use the name.
A perk for them for sure. Yeah, a lot of people will do that just for simply the sort of free promotion. You know, for them.
So while we're talking about all this pre-production stuff, I think one of the most key things that you can do, because it's so easy to procrastinate and it's so easy not to do stuff. You have to. I can't read and talk at the same time.
Okay. You do the talking, I'll do the reading.
It's from my sister though, because I see 3 trees. Hi, Angela. What was I saying? It was very good. Oh, for procrastinators, pick a date. You just got to pick a start date for your film. And this even when you're like casting and stuff like that, because you want to be able to tell actors when you're going to shoot. Even if the date changes, you need to pick a date. Like the date, both times, both movies, I had start dates and then I had to push it like 2 months just because we weren't ready. Like for Worth the Wait, we ended up doing what was it, a table read, and then decided that we need to do some rewriting after that. And then with this, I think it was just sort of casting and just general trying to get the ball rolling on everything and get all this stuff.
I don't know what you're talking about. I can't listen and read at the same time.
So anyway, that is like such a key thing, is like no matter what, set a start date. Even if it's, you know that you probably aren't going to do that, just set a date and tell people that's when you're shooting. Because
I feel like everything lines up.
Right.
Regardless of whether you set it for 2 weeks out, 3 months out, 6 months out, everything will go as fast as it needs to make that date happen. It's the whole, if you build it, they will come. You know
right.
I mean?
And it's more legitimate. You have a project with a start date. Like if you don't, you're just like, oh well, when are you available? Like it just doesn't sound concrete. You want it to sound like you're a man on a mission. And
right. Yeah.
One of the things that I remember about this project is that Ryan called and brought me on as producer, and he sent me the script and said he gave me a start date. We are shooting in June. We're starting June. I said, great, I'm on. I love your work, and I'm ready to do it. And I opened the script, and the first scene in the script is a guy standing skiing on the top of a snow-covered mountain. And I thought, okay, Los Angeles in June. That's when we're shooting, with a big snow-covered mountain. At least he's got a start date. Hey, we do have another question here from Gavin.
I know him.
Yeah, he says he knows you. Hi, Gavin.
Hey, Gavin.
He wants us to plug his movie, The Scare House, low-budget indie film. So everybody check out The Scare House.
Talk about a pro indie filmmaker, Gavin Michael Booth, everyone.
Okay, well, Gavin would like to know from us what the biggest waste of money on indie films would be and how to avoid it. That's a two-part question.
I can do the biggest way. Like, to me, indie films in a lot of ways is like the gold rush, where the people that really make money are the people that are selling the axes and the jeans and the equipment and stuff. And there's so many things along the way of people that are going to help you do this or help you do that or will help your film get distributed. I would just be weary of anybody helping you that's getting a fee versus a percentage.
Especially up front, right? Like,
yeah, up front. And there are some services that are valuable, but there's just so many like people there to take advantage of. Like we're doing the Kickstarter thing, and I think I've gotten 7. Yeah, look up there. I got like 7 offers for like ways that they're going to help boost stuff, which is really not much different than what things I could do on my own. So those type of things are kind of a waste of money. You got to just do research and see if it's valuable, and then we can talk a little bit about. But like, I think it's important that you think about like crew and everybody involved. There's 2 things. There's 2 payments in a movie. There's the end product and there's money, and you have to weigh the 2 on what the person is ending up with. When you think about an actor, or when you think about like a director of photography or a director, they all are getting something out of it. They're getting footage from the movie, so they don't need as much money because half their payment is the end product. Versus a grip who's showing up for the day, or a sound guy, they're never really going to use your end product for the real. So you gotta pay them money. So there's people so that's sort of the balance, is like, what are they getting out of it? My director of photography that shot both movies, he basically donated all his time and equipment, but I get him jobs on promo shoots, and not only that, but he's ending up with 2 feature films, and that are, the first one's good, and we're working on the second one. It's going to be good, I hope.
If you help us with Kickstarter, it will be. If
yeah.
you look at Kickstarter and search for Temps.
So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, thanks, Gavin.
Yeah.
We have some questions on YouTube too.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Well, that gives me a good time to tell you that our YouTube channel is youtube.com/channel/TempsMovie. You can tweet at us at TempsMovie. Instagram @TempsMovie, Facebook.com/TempsMovie. We currently now have a Google Plus presence, so we're going to start boosting that up. But the most important place is right over here, the Kickstarter. TempsMovie.com will get you there, or just search for Temps on the Kickstarter page. Or you can look by his name, Ryan Sage. What's our next question?
So, Whit.
Whit?
Whit Larson. He asks, how much of a business plan do you need? In other words, do you have to have a plan to make back every dime your producers invest? I think that there is basically two types of movies that you make. There's ones for profit, and there's ones to further your career. So it kind of depends on what you're doing. The first one I had, it was all my money, and I had no intentions of necessarily recouping the money, which even though we got worldwide distribution and stuff, we haven't fully recouped money yet. There's a chance that as it goes down the road, we will actually do that, which is actually kind of rare for an indie film with no stars. But for this one,
I was in A Big Love Story.
Oh yeah, sorry, except for Jason the waiter.
Kristina was in A Big Love Story.
Kristina the walker.
Hey.
Hey.
Shh, don't tell anybody that, because it makes me look like a bad producer. I couldn't find an extra that day. No.
So what was I saying? It was.
You were answering Whit's question.
I know. You were funny.
And about A Big Love Story, there wasn't a lot of stars in it.
Oh, yeah.
You're making money back.
Right.
Making movies for profit, making movies for their career.
Right. So, first one. This one, I have half the money was my money, and half the money was other people that I know that invested in it. So, my goal is to recoup their money for sure, which, based on my last movie, I think will happen, and then hopefully I'll also recoup my money. But having the stars really helps. Any kind of names helps selling, and then there's either you have names or you have a good film. That's sort of your two ways of making money back, and if you combine those two, that would be the most ideal thing. So going back to the original question of like how much a business plan do you need, it really just depends on what you're doing the film for. And I think the best movies are the ones that you make for yourself. So the more you can contain it, the smaller you can make, the more control you can have, the better. Because it's so stressful making a movie, and having the stress going to bed every night of like, am I going to return money for these people, is such a painful experience. Like I was definitely more acutely aware of it in this movie than my last one, which made it a lot more stressful about like, is this going to return money? Is this going to return money? Can
I ask you a question, Ryan, about distribution? A lot of people, and I'm not really aware of this yet, just in my experience as a producer, but have you guys looked into what the self-distribution would be like for this project?
I haven't looked into that yet, but why don't we talk about I'll talk about the distribution stuff.
Okay.
At the end thing there. We'll continue through, because this has to do with budget and is still sort of setting up. The one thing about making a budget, it's not hard. Again, you don't have to have fancy thing like I do it like in Word, and like it's the simplest thing ever. Like I just figure out how many actors, how many days and stuff.
This is the sheet that you email every morning to everybody that you're talking about, right?
No, this is the budget.
Oh, the budget.
Yeah. So
he does everything on Word. That's why I got confused.
Oh yeah, I do. It's just very simple. But the point is, again, going back to simplification, make the budget.
You don't invest in fancy budget programs, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
You don't need that stuff. And then
plan on
it doubling. Like whatever you come up with, it's going to cost twice that much. Pretend like it's not, but have in your mind some way of getting that money when it does, because if you don't, you're going to end up screwed. So you really have to try to shoot for that low number, but inevitably something is going to come up. A location is suddenly going to double in cost, or you lose a location. Like we had this one location that they wanted special insurance, and the insurance just kept on going up and up and up. Like they requested 3 special things that suddenly was like $1,000 more on insurance, which is a pretty huge hit on the movie our size.
Well, and that's another thing that happened with the location is we were having trouble with this one place where the insurance kept going up and up and up, and we, after weeks of talking to him, finally someone just said, "We'll just go next door and shoot there," and we went, "Oh, okay," and we went and shot at the beach next door.
Oh, at the beach location, yes.
Yeah, trying to keep Ryan.
I
didn't know what I was talking about.
No, because I didn't think of the beach as a location, but it is an actual location.
It is an actual location. Yeah.
That was very difficult. That beach thing. That was a roller coaster right up to the end there. Yeah. I think we didn't even lock that in until the day before or something.
Yeah, I was sitting.
It was like the last day of the shoot too.
Yeah, yeah.
we ended up shooting at a Boy Scout camp. So.
Oh wow.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and a lot of the kids there recognized our star, and they thought we were shooting an episode of Pretty Little Liars. Are you shooting? Yeah, we were one of our stars. You were talking about casting and cast.
Yeah.
So is that something you want to talk about?
Yes.
Here in the budget, we love our cast. Grant Rosenmeyer, who was in The Royal Tenenbaums, is the tracksuit-wearing kid of Ben Stiller. Right? Tracksuit-clad kid, Lindsay Shaw in Pretty Little Liars, and 10 Things I Hate About You, and Ned's Declassified. Eden Sher, who plays Sue Heck on The Middle. Yes, love Eden Sher. Reed Ewing, who he just tweeted he might be going back on to Modern Family. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
He was on Modern Family, played the eldest daughter's boyfriend in the first couple seasons.
Dylan.
Brian shot a very funny video that he was in, and of course Chris Bauer, you might know him from everything, but he's in True Blood, and I always remember him from The Wire. I just know him from The Wire.
A lot of Wire fans.
Yeah, a lot of Wire fans, a lot of Lindsay Shawster's fans. So how did that happen?
Well, I think there's two ways of casting. There's a way that we did in a Big Love Story, and then there's the way that it's sort of a hybrid actually of how we did it in this one. But I'll let Kristina talk, because Kristina and we did a lot of we saw a lot of people, and Kristina saw more than I did because she spent a lot of time like pre-reading people and stuff like that. And that's really a special skill set she has in spotting talent. So
I walk down the street and I say, "You." No.
You could be in the movies, kid.
You got what we need, kid. Yeah, I think when you're working with such a low budget, it's tough to gain the attention of bigger talents. So for the first film, we actually weren't even considering going SAG, I think, at first, right, Ryan? We were going to do like a non-union copy credit.
In a way of trying to cut costs, I was like, again, my thought is always, this town is filled with a ton of talented people.
Right.
And
it may not be SAG yet, and all that kind of stuff, and we didn't.
Let me just say one quick thing, Kristina, just for a general knowledge thing. Like when you go SAG, the basic cost that you can chunk down, which was pretty much the same for both of it, is like $10,000 that's going to go to actors, like to pay for them, and then you have to pay for. You have to go through a payroll company when you do when you do SAG, and you have to pay for workman's comp.
Pension.
Yeah, pension stuff. So they call it fringes, and that's like the money over like what they're getting. So you have like, if on an ultra low budget movie, it's $100 a day for actor, and then with their fringes, it ends up being like 145 or somewhere around there. If you put crew through payroll, that the fringes for payroll for crew is about 25%. So if you pay a crew guy $100, it's $125. Now, most people in low budgets don't put crew through payroll because it costs $25 extra, and they think, legally they can get away with it by doing 1099s. You legally can't do 1099s if you want to be absolutely legal, which sometimes you're doing a low budget solo that you can't be legal, but if you're being legal,
we were legal.
We were legal. We actually were legal.
Way to go! Way to go!
Well, the interesting thing was because like the payroll company for the actors, Entertainment Partners, which I do not recommend. Do not go to Entertainment Partners. But they forced us, basically. They go, well, which payroll company is your crew going through? And I was like, oh, I'm taking care of that myself. And they're like, well, you can't do that. Basically, everybody, because they have to protect themselves for liability, so everybody has to go through there, both crew and actors. So the going back to like 1099, why you can't 1099 someone, the law is that if a person can do the job with making their own decisions and show up whenever they want, where you can't affect the outcome, then you can 1099 them. But if you can tell, like if I can tell Jason, hey, can you show up at 8 o'clock and I need you to drive the truck down there and get the other people and come back here. If you say that, then you can't 1099. They're technically called an employee, and you have to payroll them. And so, you know, you have to sort of weigh like how basically it comes down to what's the likelihood of your movie becoming big, and how much are you exposed to getting sued is kind of like what it comes down to. And if you're first starting off, it's probably not likely that anybody's going to sue you because you don't have any money. So.
Unless you're really lucky, and then you get a lot of press.
But we did have, I mean, like Kristina fell on the shoot and she had to go to the ER, and so I had to pay for an ER visit out of the thing. By her look, she didn't want that story told.
What? I don't know. No, I have a little memory loss from that. I have no idea. No. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that, I mean, I had to pay that out of my pocket basically because there's no insurance at that.
Which is interesting. I actually was curious. Do you have a lawyer that helps you with all of these kind of things?
No. No, I basically do all the research because that's another thing that you can kind of save money. Like when doing, the great thing is when you're doing actor contracts, they all have lawyers, and so you learn a lot from going back and forth. Like you can download all these contracts, like I said, and they're like boilerplate contracts. And whenever you send it like to an actor or somebody real with like lawyers, they'll redline it and they'll put
You're like, nope.
Write the contract for you. But you can, again, it's just researching and putting in things in Google and finding out what the heck they mean because they're all in Latin and stuff like that. And
yeah. And
again, for the most part, everybody is straightforward. They understand that you're a low budget thing. But we can talk about that part of the casting. Let's talk about the actual casting.
Yeah, because Terry here really wants to talk about Lindsay. So we have a question here about Lindsay. How did we get Lindsay?
Okay, but talk first.
We'll get to you in just a moment, Terry.
Yeah. So what I was saying about when you don't have a huge budget and you know what I mean. And we had this huge cast. I mean, there were so many roles especially in the original script that we had to cast. It was this big ensemble comedy. So we literally just put out a breakdown on, the breakdowns. I'm sure many filmmakers out there know what that is. The breakdown service.
Just breakdown. It's breakdown.com.
I think it's breakdownservices.com or breakdownexpress.com. I can't remember. And you basically list your project on there. That's what all of the agents and managers see. It goes out through the regular breakdowns. You put as much information about the project as you possibly can to help attract name talent. It's just, when it says ultra low budget movie, you're not going to probably get a lot of submissions from name talent, but just because obviously the agents and managers know they're not going to make that much money, so why waste their time? But we did use that service and Actors Access so that actors themselves could submit themselves, which is just a part of Breakdown Services. And we held auditions at a facility in Los Angeles that actually lets you use their rooms for free. So we didn't have to spend money doing it. They let casting directors use it for free, and the actors are members. We use pads.
That's actually, they changed, and they make people, it used to be better before, and I actually stopped using them because they changed where they now make, if you bring in an actor, they have to sign up for their services.
Right.
So we actually did all our stuff at this place, Space Station Casting.
Space Station, which we did the chemistry read there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think
they moved and they re-updated everything, and they're like super nice and super cheap.
Right.
Like if you spacestationcasting.com, it's very straightforward. It has like the schedule, like you can see when the rooms are taken and how much, like it's like $14 an hour or something like that. It's like really reasonable. Yeah. And it's clean, super nice. They have a person at the door to greet people when they come in.
There was some leaked footage. People stole some crafty.
You sneaky Lindsay Shaw fans
found our audition footage online and posted it online.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, but that was its location casting. So this person who wants to take the tour of locations, that's another location for it.
Yeah, so we did that. We held a ton of, it was a big challenge finding our leading guy because, you needed a kind of a big guy, and those guys normally have one line, two lines. They're not used to carrying a whole film, so that was a huge challenge for us to cast. We ended up, of course, falling in love with Robbie, our lead, but when it came down to sort of the final selections, we did what Ryan loves to do, which was chemistry read. So we brought in sort of our top either 2 or 3 max choices per role for the kind of main ensemble cast and had them all read with each other. And we did this like round robin of putting our, one lead in with a bunch of the people and then switching him out for another lead and just sort of seeing how they all gelled together because there were so many scenes where they all had to kind of have this amazing chemistry, as they say, and it was fairly obvious during that process who really fit. I think
there was like 3 people we would have gone with had we just gone off of who's the best by themselves.
Right.
I don't know if it was 2 or 3, but there was definitely some people we would have gone with on roles that, like, once we put them with the group, they just didn't pop as much or they didn't interact as well. They didn't seem as much friends. And, like, the thing with the low-budget movie, this is why casting is one of the secrets, is, like, it's so important, like, that your actors are good and believable and that they feel like they could be in this world. Like, that'll save you. Good actors can deliver bad lines. Like, I'm always impressed by that. Like, my day job is doing promos, and I get to work with really good actors, and sometimes they have to do some pretty clunky promo lines, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't know how anyone could say this, and somehow they make it sound good and natural, and that's what you're looking for when you're auditioning. It's like somebody that can naturally deliver.
Yeah. And I feel like, I love casting personally. I'm an actor. I love the whole process of it. But what I think is so true every time is that the person literally walks in the door and they kind of are that character. You know what I mean? I mean, we just...
Like Tommy. Tommy was like, I cast him. He was like the first person we cast in a big love story, and actually kind of cast around him, even though he was the best friend.
The supporting lead, yeah, Tommy Snyder, brilliant actor. He was cast first, and then everybody was cast around him, exactly.
Yeah, Kristina auditioned him, and that's the first person. That's the only time I've ever cast anybody off tape without seeing them. I was like,
I couldn't even get through his audition. I was laughing so hard, and I don't know if that was tripping. I'm sure it wasn't tripping him up, but I was laughing so hard that I couldn't even actually read with him. And I think I either called you or I texted you, and I was like, I think we found Miles. Like, we have him. Like, I don't care what you think, he's being cast because he's amazing.
So the one thing, so that's sort of the first way, and I think the chemistry read is really important. Like, you got to make sure your leads have chemistry. So any way you can to get them together first to cast them is so key. And we brought, like she's saying, we brought back our 4 or 5 best people all on the same day, and then we just swapped them out. We had them like wait in the hallway, and some of them like I like to leave, if they're not auditioning for a role, I like to leave them in the room and sort of become a part of the process, because I think that, like, auditioning's crap. Nobody wants to audition. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And I think the more you can bring them in, and the more you can make them a part of the process.
So Tommy was, because he was already cast, he was sitting there sort of with us.
Right, but we let Robbie would sit there for a lot. Some of the other girls come in that were reading with other people, or like Jacqueline, I think, was there for a while. And when we did ours, we had. Like Megan.
Grant sat there for like, and Megan, Megan sat for a very long time.
Yeah, and there's a couple.
You're talking about once they're already cast, that they come.
Not necessarily. Like Megan wasn't cast. Because I just want them to be comfortable in the room, and it also, I think it's fun for actors to give them a chance to see what it's like to be on the other side of the table and watch other people, and just sort of make it a communal experience and make it fun. I mean, like, it's making the casting thing fun so people can relax and you can see the best thing. I think that's important too, is like when they come in the room, just that's what like both you and Jason are really good at, is being warm and make them feel comfortable when they're in the room, so they can have a chance to get their best performance.
Yeah, and it's not only chemistry with the other actors; it's chemistry with us too. I mean, I think Avital and Megan, we just both loved them so much as people. As soon as they walked in the door, we knew we wanted to put them somewhere in the movie. Hey, I see Cherie here, or Sherry.
She's actually She's going to be in our movie. She's one of the got the extra.
Oh, is that who Sherry is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she's number one fan too. She's the first person to like our Facebook.
Oh, fantastic. We love her. But she just had a question about how to contact us on Google Hangouts, and she also sent me an invite here. But it's a good little station break here to say if you want to send us questions or if you just want to find out everything you can about Temps at all times, you can follow us on Twitter @TempsMovie. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TempsMovie. We are on Instagram as well, @TempsMovie. Tempsmovie.com will direct you to all these places as well. And the best place to find us is on Kickstarter. Just search for Temps, and you too, like Sherry here, can possibly be a member of the Temps community, be in the movie, be a producer on the movie, do anything you can to get this movie finished and wrapped.
And we just got Sean Cannon, good friend of mine, just donated. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Yay!
So I'm trying to figure out Matt's question here. We got a question from Matt. He's produced a film, or he's almost done with principal photography on his feature Potential Inertia. So there's a little plug for Potential Inertia.
The rural juror.
Yeah, it's but Matt, I'm a little unclear on your question, Matt, but because I don't know what VHX and Indie Rain is as a way of reducing video on demand, but I think what he's saying is I don't think he's shooting in Los Angeles.
Through VHS. But well, these are just distribution companies.
Right. So he just wants to know how. Like, I'm assuming you want to. How does Netflix find out about it? How does Amazon find out about it? How did you get on Amazon?
Regional independent production. Let's see. What kind of basic advice to how to make?
You told me to read this. This is
know.
what I've been sitting and doing. I tried to make it clear.
Okay. Well,
is that the question,
Matt, rewrite your question a little bit clear. If it's how do you make other people like? I'm not sure about when you do it individually because I think those are sort of like your do-it-yourself kind of things. And so we had a distributor, and I'm not sure how you can contact those people directly, like Netflix and those people, because that's part of what our distributor job.
I say probably Google it. No, I don't know.
That's a great answer.
Because that's probably Craigslist will tell you. Clearly, that's our only resource. But
Right.
Have you heard of Indie Rain, Kristina? Did you have anything to do?
No, I haven't, but I'm sure because so many people are trying to do self-distribution just so that they can help recoup money and not have to give any of it away. I'm sure that there are plenty of articles out there that talk about, self-distribution and how you reach out and contact those companies.
By the way, it's Shuri. You said it right the first time.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Shuri.
We'll see you on set.
Is she going to be in the snow scene?
No.
No, we don't know how we're doing. You know how we're doing this.
So that was how we cast A Big Love Story. And basically, I was going to do a very similar method of casting for Temps. And I started the exact same way, put the ad in backstage. And then I got a call from Grant Rosenmeyer's agent who pitched him. And normally, I never take, there's a lot of time when you post on there, you'll get a lot of managers and people pitching people. And generally, they're not great.
Right.
And so it's very rare. So normally, I don't respond to those people. But for some reason, and I picked up the phone, and it was unknown number I didn't know, which I normally don't answer. Anyway, so he pitched him. I was like, "Oh, it sounds cool. Send me his tape or whatever." And he was really good on the tape. So I was like, "Oh, awesome. We'll bring him in." And one of the difficult things of casting the roles in this movie is they're all young 20s, and finding good actors at young 20s is really difficult because they just don't have the experience. But that's where we got fortunate. Both Grant and Lindsay were child actors, so they've been acting for 12 years or 15 years, and they're only like 22 or 25.
I just remember the first scene that we did, the first shot we did, and I mean they were great in the chemistry read and in the auditions, but it was just astonishing when the cameras rolled and it's just looking through the monitor and going, wow, we're dealing with pros here. And I was like, thank goodness that we're working with professionals for the rest of this. And Grant and Lindsay carried everything. I feel like, especially Grant and Lindsay.
But going back to Lindsay.
Well, let's not know Lindsay.
Going back to the casting thing. So Grant, when he came in red, were you there for when you read? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was so good on the first thing that it was just obvious that that was, which is so great to get your lead guy right away. So we had him pretty early on, and then we brought him back. He was so generous with his time. He'd come back and read with everyone, because again, I find that so important. And we found some good people, but just not like perfect people. And then he knew Lindsay from, I think, child actor circles, and he convinced her to come in and give it a read. And so she did, and so that was sort of the backdoor method without having to go to her agent. So it's basically kind of lucking out on that. And so, because I doubt that the agent would have let her come in otherwise. So he got her to come in for a read, and then she liked it. She read the script. But really, the big part of it was she was doing it for Grant. So that is a key thing with casting, is like when you cast good actors, they have friends that are good actors, and so it's kind of a...
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty common to have when you get one person cast.
It's just like Kristina knows a ton of actors. Like Kristina could just blindly cast out of film with all her friends that she knows. It's just the actors know actors, and so we got them, and that's where we did a lot of our chemistry reads. And then Grant Reed, I'd actually read, because again, I got the script like 3 years ago. And Reed had first auditioned like in the trailer, like Modern Family, I think.
That's right.
And did you see that? Because like I think we talked about this project a long time ago.
Oh yeah. And you told me that. You told me. I know I did. I saw it. You're right. I saw it.
And so
right. Yeah.
So I was thinking of him right away, but like I was waiting to get some other people attached first, and so then I sent an email. I was at ABC, and I left, and I went to NBC, and when I left, I lost his email address at my ABC computer. So I had to go through his, and he had gotten off Facebook. I had to go through his agent, who was like a big hoity-toity agent, who like, the bigger the agent are, the less words they use in their emails.
Oh, of course.
And so, like, I wrote this, like, paragraph of, like, hey, I worked with Reed before on a Modern Family music video, and he'd auditioned for this thing, and now we're actually coming around. I'd love to see if he's available to come in for a read. And he just wrote back, Reed's pursuing an education in Utah. And that was it, basically. And I was like, okay, well, and I put in there when we're doing a read, because I wanted to do chemistry reads. And then I was like, all right, well, thank you, or something like that. And then, like, 3 days later, he wrote back, good news, Reed's going to be in town. And we'll be there, or something like that. It was like, again, like as short as words as possible. And so
that's crazy.
So Reed came in, and then Reed was great too, because he read with everybody, and that was a really fun day. That's Avidal and Megan and those guys. Yeah. We got a lot of good people on that, and Dee for the waitress was on that day too. Mm-hmm. So then this is what I call like the snowball effect. Like once you get a couple of people, it's easier. This is how bad movies are made, by the way, because somebody sees like, oh, Tom Cruise and Ben Affleck are in a movie. That must be good. I'm not reading the script. I'm just signing up. So if you're doing an indie film, that's the best thing you can possibly do, is get this snowball effect going. So we had Lindsay, Grant, and Reed, and then knowing that it was a pretty solid cast for the size of film, we were trying to figure out how to get the final two, and whether to get casting directors to help, because I was like curious about whether like it would make us look more legitimate or however. So I went back to Grant's agent, who's Tyler, who's extremely helpful through this whole process, which is very rare for an agent to be as helpful as he's been. But and I asked him, I was like, so from your professional opinion as an agent, would you take our offer more seriously? Because obviously the elements aren't going to change. The money's going to be the same, script's the same, and who's attached already is the same. So it's just a matter of me writing an offer letter, or an casting director writing an offer letter. And he said, well, the one thing is that a casting director can protect you from an agent doing some fishy business stuff. And I was like, well, that's what fishy business could you do? But I was like, okay, do you know anybody? And so then he suggested two casting directors that were sort of like not really junior, but just not as experienced. and although they are experienced, but they're just sort of in the middle rung, I guess, and so more eager to do like independent films and stuff like that. So they came on, and then they helped find Eden and Chris, and so, and let me just back up too to explain like how you like go, like when I say like send an offer letter, like and those things, like it's kind of interesting because a big love story, I didn't send a single offer letter to anybody. It was just like, hey, do you want to do this movie, yes or no? And so then, and I remember Robbie's agent was like asking for an offer letter. I'm like, I don't even know what an offer letter is. What is that? And Robbie's like,
what does that even mean? I am offering
I don't
you.
know, dude. Just like write up a deal memo or something. So I wrote up like a deal memo, and that's basically what an offer letter is. An offer letter can be anything. It's basically email format where you lay out, I think 3 or 4 basic things. How much they're getting paid, the dates that you need them, how many days you need them, and their title or where the credit are, where they'll be listed in the credits. And that's one thing I left out on one of the offer letters that sort of became a problem later on, but worked.
Billing order? They call it billing, right? Billing.
Yeah, billing. So you're basically, this is what some people call it the short form. This is basically that sets out just the basic parameters of the deal. By law, every agent has to take an offer to their client. That is part of their job, so by law. So you can make an offer to Tom Cruise if you want, and he'll see the offer. It'll of course be couched in this is an idiot, but just know that you never should. That no matter what, you can always make an offer to any actor that you want, and they have to take it to them.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. Another thing you can do is, and do it. The easiest way is do it over email too. I find you don't have to call, because I find calling is intimidating. They talk fast, and then they don't call back very often. The other thing you can do though, if you want a star in your movie, you can call and find out what their quote is, like how much they got paid basically, and basically actors have different levels. So you can go like, hey, what's Jason Duplessis' quote on a $5 million film? And it'll be like, oh, he's $20,000 a day or something like that. So then you can use that as a form of negotiation, or like then you kind of know what range he's at. Or you can also just meet it. If you just meet that quote, like if you go, well, if I have him, that's going to return me at least $20,000. That's going to be worth the investment. You can just match the quote. Go, okay, I'll pay that. If I pay that quote, can I, will he work? And generally, it's a yes. I mean, because you're meeting their quote. So that's kind of a fun little insider fact, is you can just call the agent, find out what their quote is on, and if you have a super low budget film, make it like $1 million or something like that, or 100,000, whatever, $500,000 or something like that. But just to get sort of the range that they're at. And then so going back to this is all fun technical stuff, but I think it's good stuff because I didn't actually know this is all stuff I learned on this one. So you do the short form, and then what happens? Like I thought, oh great, I'm done, and then the lawyers call you, and then the fun begins. And so then you really go over in detail all the stuff like the dressing room and all these things, and that's where some of them will say, like Lindsay's agent said, we'll write the contract for you. I was like, great. Other people said, send us a contract. I was like, not as great. So like basically then I just downloaded a thing, and there's certain things like reasonable. You have to make sure the word reasonable is in pretty much everywhere. That's always what they add in, a reasonable amount of time, a reasonable this, reasonable that. But everybody is pretty nice on these whole things and understands, like they know that you're doing a low budget thing, and they're pretty helpful. They knew that I didn't have a lawyer, and that's one of the reasons why, like Lindsay's person was like, I know you don't have a lawyer, so we'll do up the contract. And then I was able to take some of the language from her contract and use it for like Eden's contract, because they're like, we need like a photo approval clause. So I just took what Lindsay's photo approval clause was and put it in there, which is kind of I think this was kind of, because I was like worried about like, well, how long would it take and stuff like that. And the basic, like if I submit you photos, how long is it going to take and stuff. And kind of the cool thing about their clause that they came up with is when she's in a photo by herself, I think she has to approve 25% of photos you submit, a reasonable amount of photos you submit. So if I was to give her like 10, she'd have to approve 2 or 3 or something like that. If she's in a photo with somebody else that has photo approval rights, then it has to be 50%. She has to approve 50% of the images. And then they have like a certain amount of time of like 3 days, and if they don't respond within 3 days, it's assumed approved. So it was a pretty favorable, I don't know, language, I thought, for
Would you say it was reasonable?
It was reasonable. I would say it's very reasonable.
Very reasonable people you're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Which is part of why we've been so stringent on releasing pictures on our Instagram account, which is @TempsMovie, and at Twitter @TempsMovie, on Facebook, facebook.com/TempsMovie, and on Kickstarter, just search for Temps in Kickstarter. But one of the good things about doing these Google Hangouts that we're going to continue to do to keep the buzz going on this film is that we're going to have some of these actors participating in future Google Hangouts. Isn't that right, Ryan?
Oh, I believe we're going to have Lindsay Shaw.
Lindsay Shaw?
I think we're going to do it on Monday.
Monday? You mean?
We're going to have a fun little one where actually she's going to interview me and I'm going to interview her, and you'll get sort of the difference, the director's perspective versus the actor's perspective of working on.
First person who tweets out this news wins.
You're a winner.
You win the internet.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll have Lindsay on Monday. Monday, October 13th.
Eden will be on at some point, too. So we're still working out dates and some other fun stuff that we can do. If you guys have suggestions of things you want to hear, where should they send it, Jason?
I could send it to questions@tempsmovie.com. And the other thing that we want to encourage you to do is tell us things that you might want as incentives for the Kickstarter campaign. We've been batting around, would you like Lindsay to follow you on your Instagram account? Would you like Eden to follow you, on Twitter? Or would that be something that you would think would be a fun thing?
Would you want Jason to follow you home?
Would you like...
No, I would not.
We just have a few minutes left here in this little hangout, so we want to get through the rest of this because it's all fascinating. And if you have any more questions, questions@tempsmovie.com, @tempsmovie.com, Twitter, Instagram. Refreshing here. And hi, Megan. It was nice to see Megan saying hello. We're going to have Megan on as well as she will have us.
She is.
Is she going to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're going to be talking with casting directors. We're going to be talking, like we were just talking about the casting directors here, we want to talk with some of the non-celebrities in our film who are fantastic character actors and just actors in general, like Megan and Avital.
We want to get we'll try to do more of an actor one. We'll get some casting, see if the casting directors will come on, and then the agent and sort of what they look for when they're searching for talent and stuff like that, and their process, and then especially Megan.
Is that Megan calling you right now?
Yeah. No, that's my sister. My sister writes, it's for my sister, "This is awesome, super helpful, thanks."
There you go.
Look.
Is she an aspiring filmmaker?
She's an established author.
Yes.
She is an established author.
If you have children, Petalwink the Fairy, or... And 50s chick, if you have a young adult.
A tween, a young adult, yeah, YA. I think that's called something else now. The young adult is a different genre now. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Hashtag something.
Hashtag something.
Yeah.
Petalwink the Musical.
Yeah, Petalwink the Musical.
So you're paying attention.
Yeah. Nice.
Anything else we wanted to cover in this production? So is there anything?
We just got a Kickstarter.
Oh, Kickstarter.
Somebody just donated.
Yay.
Let's find out.
Do you have any insider producer tips before we go, Kristina? I have one great.
Blaine Vixie.
Blaine?
Another ABC.
We were going to mention.
What's that?
We were going to mention about maybe talking about a little bit about getting extras involved in an independent film, and also festivals. I think those are maybe important to cover before we go.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll go a little bit longer than 9:30 because we'll talk about. Do you have a bedtime?
No, but I do need to get some water.
Okay.
So Kickstarter Nation gets
but he gets water. Yeah, extras. Why don't you tell? I mean, like, we kind of discovered this great thing on.
Well, can I do? If
Do it.
people can guess where we went to find extras, I don't know what the incentive is going to be. Craigslist.
Craigslist and actually like the ones that
Central casting.
Yeah, well, no, we did Craigslist, but also just going to the bowling alley, like, because like when we went to the bowling alley, we just put a note there saying looking for extras, and the greatest thing happened. People that looked like bowlers showed up. Like we got all the league bowlers.
They had their bowl. Well, remember we shot the day that they were supposed to have one of their bowling leagues bowl, and so literally we said, well, great, they can just bowl in the background of our movie, and so they're not missing their league time, and I think that's how it worked out, right?
Yeah, it was
fabulous.
And they're free. Like I think those ones were free. And then the other thing that, again, when you think about what do people have to gain, like there's money or a finished product. Extras are usually actors that are trying to, be actors. And so IMDb credit is a very important thing. So
and feeding them well. I mean that was
Rose wins. Rose wins. Big winner, Rose! Yay! She tweeted out first that Lindsay will be doing an interview with Google Hangouts.
She won the internet. Nicely done.
She won the internet.
I will retweet right now. Fantastic. Isn't
So,
Rose? I think Rose is Isn't Rose and Cherie the same person, or am I mistaken?
No.
Oh, okay.
Rose is also Bliss. Oh, look there. Oh, behind.
Don't watch us on our Google Hangout while we're Google Hangout. I'm sorry, Kristina. We are just. This is why we can't go longer than an hour and a half.
Yeah. But point being, so they're looking for. You got to think of like what do people have to gain. So IMDb credit.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to pay your extras on a low-budget film. I mean, ultra-low, micro-budget film. So keep them, and if they care, IMDb credit. You know what I mean? Like.
And our extras, 3 of our extras are kicking butt on promoting this film. Yeah. Dean, and then I'm blanking on Eric and his mom are so great on promoting. But Dean,
good stuff.
Let me give Dean a proper plug. Let me look at his name here.
Yeah, and we were really lucky on ours too. We had extras who would come back and help us out on other days in other locations. I mean, it was just because we treated them well and we were, supportive of what they were doing. We were humans, and we had good, positive attitudes. And
it goes back to being ethical and, like, don't treat...
Be a person.
Yeah, treat your production assistants well and your extras well. And extras are so important for...
Absolutely.
So
Dave, not Dean. Dave Bean. I can find his name. Dave Bean is slaying.
Dave has the awesome scene where he walks up and catches Grant.
Dave has a great scene.
So let's talk about distribution, film festivals a little bit. The last sort of step of the process. We'll sort of skip over post-production. Maybe we'll do another thing later, but we'll get into because this is, I think, where more people are at. Like, if you have a movie, you're done with it, and you're trying to figure out how to distribute it. Yeah, how to film festivals. So, we submitted to like Sundance first for A Big Love Story, Sundance, a couple other ones. I think we got turned down from like 4 or 5 before we got into.
Sundance too, right?
Yes, Sundance, Slam Dance, and there's a couple other in between. And so it's such a disappointing feeling because you think your whole world, like if I just get into Sundance, everything will be great. And we got into Cinequest, and Cinequest was actually a great festival for 2 reasons. One, it was a good festival, and 2,
my favorite.
Yeah, somebody was born like only a few miles away, and this goes back to having something extra to promote about your movie, of like a hometown girl comes home for a world premiere.
I could not believe the amount of, and don't get me wrong, we reached out to people to help us with this, but we were so well received with just having, they had this lovely story, which was like, hey, this girl, and she went to college right here. And, it just had so many personal connections, and people really bought into that, and they were excited to have us there and treated us like kings and queens. It was a wonderful festival. I highly recommend submitting or even just going to CineQuest. It takes place, I think, at the end of February and March of every year.
Right. San Jose, California.
San Jose, California, everybody. Silicon Valley. And beautiful venues. I mean, I think I was entirely, like, I employed my family to go hang promotional posters and pass out postcards all around the area the festival would be held. We put ads in the paper. They wrote articles about us and, you know, coming, and it was just, it was an amazing amount of support we had. But we actually had, like, what, how many people showed up to the premiere? It was insane. It was like
600 and something, or
no, 400. The theater held 600, and we were at like 80% of capacity or something crazy. It was amazing. But the thing that I want, what's that?
Jason was there.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing, right? I mean, it was just incredible, and I think what we learned in the process of getting into our first festival and it being the premiere and it being a feature film was how much work we hadn't done yet on creating the brand of the film. Right, Ryan?
Right.
We did not do that early enough at all. And so it was this kind of race to the finish of, like, once we were notified, we had, what, was it 6 weeks or a month or 2 months?
Something like that. And that's one of the things why we're doing, besides Kickstarter being a great fundraising tool, which obviously we need finishing funds, but it really helps us build an audience and figure out how to position the film and what things work, you know, in sort of a safe zone with not that many people. We can test things and see, like, oh, everybody really likes Lindsay like this or whatever, you know, it's like, see how people respond to stuff or information and
finding out the hook in your marketing plan, like what is that hook? Like we definitely use the from a script bot off Craigslist for $500 as kind of our hook, but there was so much, you know, that we were discovering as we were trying to put the thing together.
It was also like the first time that I'd met the writer, like, because he flew out from Chicago.
That was a story. You were gonna meet the night of the premiere.
Right.
Yeah, which was great. I mean,
so one thing we did do was we wrote a press release that was very helpful in getting stuff written. And where my wife worked, they had a person that writes press releases. It's a special language all itself. I highly suggest you find somebody, like, you know, a lot of companies have people that write press releases. So find somebody that knows somebody that writes a press release and have them write it, because it's a newspaper format where it's the most important information first, and then it goes descending down. But it's actually harder than you think to write in very short bites. So you can have somebody write that, and that really helps. And then I paid for that to go out, and I don't remember how much it was, a couple $100 or something like that, for that to basically go out over PR Wire, I think, and then people will pick up the story. And what got people to pick up the story again was the Craigslist thing. That's what they saw, was like, oh, there's a you know, movie that was bought off Craigslist for $500. This is interesting. So that's kind of key, is finding that hook. And
and I think just the thing I wanted to impress upon is just building your your Facebook page, your Twitter, your website. Everything needs that consistent branding, and the earlier that you can sort of start working on that, whether it's hiring like a social media intern from college or something, you know what I mean? Like having somebody that is going to help support that. There are people now, I mean, I'm always looking to the people who are in college now and like the young kids, because they're so on social media all the time, and it is so above my head. If you can get someone who really knows how to do that and support you in that endeavor, you're going to just have such an easier time once you do get into your first festival and you are ready to sort of, you know, have your premiere. You're going to have all that stuff lined up. You're going to have a following. You're going to, you know, everything will be branded and be consistent across all platforms. And so you won't have to sort of be scrambling like we were to sort of build those things up. And
buy your domain as soon as you figure out what your title of your movie is. Buy the domain. What movie? What's?
I believe our domain is tempsmovie.com.
Oh,
one of the
interesting.
best things that we could do to build our brand is to get as many Twitter followers as possible. So if you follow us at tempsmovie and tell a friend and retweet as many people as you know to follow us at tempsmovie,
what happens?
On Instagram? Well, then you become a part of the Temps movie family.
Temps movement.
And there's a better...
Hashtag Temps movement.
Hashtag Temps movement. There's a much better chance that this film will be in a movie theater near you. That's the plan.
Yeah, and I think what's fun is that when as a filmmaker, if you build that from the beginning, you can tweet pictures from set and like tell funny stories about the filmmaking process, and people really like to be a part of that journey. So it's
like Shuri, who was the one that's going to be the actor. She's been following us well before we even had the Facebook page, I think.
Yeah.
So somehow knew about the existence of the movie.
The girl Shosters is her handle there.
She has a long name, doesn't she?
She does.
Yeah.
Shosters trademark now. She's Shosters at Shosters trademark. Little trademark sign. She's the one who stole the footage
that's right.
from our internet, and I immediately said we need her on our side because she is brilliant at marketing.
Yeah.
So I've sent some things directly to her in direct message on Twitter and said, this is just for you. You can release this yourself or keep it to yourself, whatever you want. And she always posts it for us. She'll take it and she'll put her little twist on it, but she'll be out there promoting for us, and it's really great having all of you as part of being in the movie process. Because, like Kristina was saying, we don't know until we walk into a movie theater and there's 400 people there how many people want to see the movie. So the more people who are following us at Temps Movie on Twitter, at Temps Movie on Instagram, facebook.com/TempsMovie, or just head on over to tempsmovie.com. And the best thing you can do is go to our Kickstarter page. Just search for Temps on Kickstarter and get some of these fantastic things.
Even if you just do $1, then you can follow us. That's one thing, because we do updates on the Kickstarter. So going back to like then how we made like the leap from like festivals to distribution. There's basically two people that can help you sell your movie, which is either a producer's rep or a sales rep. And the difference is a producer's rep, you pay a fee, and they take it and sort of try every avenue possible to. They'll go down the list of all the distributors that are out there and submit it. And then a sales rep will take a percentage. They don't get money up front, but they go to relationships that they already have with certain distributors and stuff, and so they don't go to as many people, but on the plus side, they aren't taking any money up front. So I ended up going with a producer's rep where I paid them money up front, and I don't remember how much it was. It was $5,000, something like that. It was
like $2,500.
I think it was more. It was a fair amount of money, but to me, it was basically like I wanted to see if basically they would send it to everybody. They sent it to the like Weinsteins and all the companies. They basically break it down into tiers. So they send it all to tier 1 group, and not likely that anybody will pick it up there. They send it to the tier 2 and then tier 3, and hopefully at some tier level you'll have a couple of people that will be interested and start bidding on it, and then you can drive up the price. We had basically 3 offers, and one thing with low, there's such a glut of product out there because movies are so much easier to make. This is one reason why you have to have a strong hook for your movie. There's such a glut of product out there, like trying to stick out is so hard. And so, what was I saying? Because it's really important.
The 3 offers that you had?
3 offers, yeah. So, guaranteed money.
Thank you for listening, Kristina.
This is what I do. This is what I did on set.
Yes, you have to.
I got water.
Yeah, he got water. She interpreted my that no.
When he says thing, I know the thing can mean 45 different things.
Yes, that thing is my favorite thing to say. So that that thing. Anyway, guaranteed money is really difficult to get. We got guaranteed money up front. It was not a huge amount, but some money up front. That is really hard to get nowadays because it's sort of like they can choose whatever movie they want to, and then basically then it becomes like a breakdown. So the company we went with was Osiris, and they did worldwide distribution, which I strongly suggest if you can get worldwide distribution, even though it's a romantic comedy, which generally doesn't play well throughout the world, which we didn't sell the entire world, so I guess it doesn't play well, but we did sell like Latin America and a couple other places. And basically what they do for foreign sales is it's like chunks. So they'll be like, Latin America, you get $10,000, and they basically license it out to Latin America for however they want to disseminate it. And then in Europe, they have all these different chunks, like Russia will have it. So all these little $10,000 deals start to add up, and then it can be like 100,000 or something like that, and it can be significant. This for like an ultra low budget movie. And then for domestic, basically the money going into theaters is really a loss for low budget films, because you have to pay for the advertising, and that's very, yeah.
You know what else I didn't realize that you have to pay for? Your rating, right?
Yeah, you just submit it to the ratings code. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to submit it to. If we're going to be rated PG or rated R, you have to pay something like $25,000 just to get it reviewed.
That's why a lot of independent movies are not rated. So yeah, there's all kinds of costs for the. So when you sell your movie, you're like, great, I got a distributor, they want to buy it. Then they all of a sudden want all this stuff. Like if they want a rating code, you'd have to have a rating code. Then there's.
Well, to get into a theater, don't you need a rating code? Like AMC theaters, you need to be rated, right?
No, not necessarily. There's.
Love Rose, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
The thing you need, so the things you need for like, you have to have E&O insurance, which is basically like errors and omission. And I remember freaking out about getting this because I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to play, because like some things we weren't that careful about. Like if we shot here, there'd be like a picture back up there or something like that, and we'd be like, oh.
We didn't get a clearance for that. Yeah.
We didn't get clearance for that. And so I was stressed out. I even had my friend Milan go, and he's like a graphics guy, and he went and took out some photos that I had on like a wall and stuff, and so then I submitted to the E&O insurance, and I was just sweating the entire time that like they're going to have like, oh, we can't release the movie because there's all these things. They didn't even watch the movie. It was like they didn't even watch it. So I just think that when it's a low budget film, the risk of somebody suing it is very low because the movie's just not making money. Like they're going to sue Terminator or some big movie like that that's making millions of dollars, but when you're suing a $50,000 film, like how much you going to get from them? Like it's kind of a lost cause.
To the best of our knowledge, Terminator was never sued and had no problems at all.
Well, I think it was. I don't know. Insurance. You also need like a QC report because everything's done digital. So you have to have it submitted to a thing that basically go through and they check every frame, make sure every frame is good. And that's a couple $100 bucks.
QC report?
Yeah, quality control.
You have to go in and have the whole thing like remastered.
You don't. I mean, you master it. Like I mastered it, but then you have to have somebody do quality control, make sure your levels are all correct and the audio is all balanced. And then you have to do split track. This is when you do international movie. This is interesting. You have to do the split tracks, and you have to take out all the dialogue. And so, like, if I'm talking here and I'm making this noise, oh, that's cool. The monitor just went off. If I'm talking and I'm making noise, then I have to go back and replace that sound and take out my voice. So that was pretty time-consuming. And then so you have to do the split tracks, which time-consuming.
And that's all on your dime, correct?
Yeah, some of it I got like some of it. This is part of the negotiation that you can negotiate with them. Like this is the stuff you want to negotiate when they say, "Oh, we won't give you any money up front." Then you go, "Well, can you pay for the QC report and can you pay for the E&O insurance?" That was basically the deal. They paid for the E&O insurance, and then closed captioning. You have to have the closed captioning done. And to have the closed captioning done, you have to have a transcript done. So you have to have somebody sit there and type it out. And that's the only time, by the way, I've ever had a bad experience on Craigslist. I've hired hundreds of crew people, and I hired somebody to do the transcript, and they just never did it. they just kept on saying, like, oh, I'm halfway through it and almost there, and they just never did it. So, yeah, and those I think that's about the general. And then some they'll want art, but generally they'll redesign it for they redesign the DVD thing because they have like that's what they specialize in is they know what will sell to buyers because you're not necessarily selling to an audience, you're selling to buyers. Like AFM, like American Film Market, which I wouldn't really suggest if you have a movie. The only type of movies that should go to AFM are action films that sell well overseas. Like that's the general what's there. Like if you have a festival film, like I would consider our film festival film because it's more I don't know. It's not just you have to speak English to understand it, or you have to have it translated. So
it's not going to be a big one at the Chinese Film Festival, like A Big Love Story was.
Yeah, that was a shocker. A Big Love Story did go to the Chinese American Film Festival. We were invited to that, and we actually won Best Actor. Robbie Kaller, Best New Actor. Yeah.
Best New Actor. So what you're saying is basically that there are a lot of costs.
There are a lot of costs that you should. So when you get distribution, it's
after.
Kristina simplified it. That's one of our three.
Yeah.
Our three secrets.
I should have been able to simplify it. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Let's see if is there any other questions?
Are there any other questions? Questions at tempsmovie.com. Tweet us at tempsmovie. Instagram at tempsmovie, or on the YouTube, or just go to tempsmovie.com, or on Facebook. Facebook.com/tempsmovie.
I think there's a delay in how fast the questions come through.
Yeah, very helpful about sharing.
Well, he's reading right now, so I'm going to take this opportunity to say that we probably are going to be talking on our Google Hangout on Monday at what time?
Probably 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. First person to tweet that out wins.
Pacific time.
Yeah.
That's correct. Thank you, Kristina. 8 o'clock Pacific time here. We're in Los Angeles, so 8 o'clock Monday, October 13th. Ryan Sage, I'll be there too, but Ryan's going to be conducting most of it. But
with Lindsay.
The important thing is Lindsay.
Lindsay Shaw.
Lindsay Shaw, Monday, 8:30.
In the flesh.
Star of the film Temps Movie. And you can learn more about it by following us or telling everybody to follow. Rose, did you do this already? Let me find
out. What was the last thing
you were just reading.
I know, it was exciting. There's fun stuff to read. There was one last.
I had one last.
Oh, I know. I was going to say, if you found this helpful, if you found this exciting, good, even if you don't donate money, if you do not donate money, if you could just share the Kickstarter page, that would be extremely helpful. You can donate. Even $10 is huge.
$5 is huge.
So we appreciate anything that you can possibly help out with, and continue spreading the word.
Yeah, share the Kickstarter link. Hashtag TempsMovie, hashtag TempsMovement. Follow us on Twitter. I've said 100 times, but I can't say it enough. And let other people know to follow us on Twitter, because the more momentum we have, like I say, the more opportunity that we're going to be able to get this movie bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're going to have an opportunity to see it. And we can do all this stuff that he's talking about, the commentary track, the closed captioning.
When will it be done?
Probably March.
Well, let me ask you this though. This is a good question. How long is this Kickstarter happening? Like how soon should people donate?
Oh, they should donate soon.
Donate now?
Donate now. It ends. What month is this?
This is October.
Is this
October? Have about 24 days left.
November. I think it ends November 2nd.
November 2nd. So you've got the entire month of October, but you can donate now. You can donate $5 today, and then if you want
to buying candy and rotting your teeth and causing children diabetes, give the money to Temps Movie.
There you go. You know, it's a great thing. Instead of like going out on UNICEF or donating to UNICEF on Halloween, when people come to your door, they can knock on the door and say trick or treat, and you could say, "I've made a donation in your name to Temps Movie."
Instead of donating to breast cancer this month.
Right. There you go. I don't know if I want to take money from breast cancer research, Kristina. No.
Get a comedy god.
What else do you got? Are you done?
I think we're done. The only thing I was going to say I didn't finish up. I should finish up the thought about like why theaters is having getting VOD, though that type of distribution for domestic is a better deal for small movies like this, is because you don't have to pay for the advertising as much. But the one thing to be wary of, like we have Gravitas, which is pretty big for all the VOD disseminating to all those people.
Your sister wins.
Oh, my sister wins a prize. They Gravitas they sort of have tiered movies, and like A Big Love Story was in like the second tier, where basically it's way back in the back of iTunes where you cannot find it. Like you couldn't go romantic comedies and bring up a bunch of romantic comedies and you'll see Big Love Story. You have to type in the name to find it. So that kind of sucks because you're not going to get like foot traffic. Versus like Amazon Prime, you can do like a general search and you'll find A Big Love Story. So so that's an important question to ask when whoever you're dealing with is like, where will it be? And will it be searchable? And ask for other movies that they've done and test to see if it's searchable. Because if you're in the back thing, then it's all up to you to get the people there to watch it. If you're in a theater, you have to pay for the P&A, which is the advertising. Somehow somebody's going to pay for it, and it's generally going to come out of your end. And so it's just a loss, basically, it's more of a prestige thing for a low-budget film, especially one of our size. So when you said it'll be in a theater near you, it'll actually most likely not be.
It probably won't be in a theater near you, especially because we can't spend $25,000 to get a rating.
Oh.
But
yeah.
But it'll be in a festival near you.
Yes.
And it'll be on video on demand and whatnot. So if we were to make a sort of summation, what the 3 secrets of a successful indie production would be, what would you say they would be?
Simplification.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
just make it all easy. Yeah. After 2 hours, we could probably simplify it down.
If only there were a clock where we could see what time it was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Simplification, make it as simple as possible because it really isn't hard, and I think people overthink things a lot. Then the second thing would be casting, and I think it's really important to do chemistry, reads, and then try to get names. That's your #1 selling thing. It's like, doesn't matter who you are, it's the face on the box. So the more you can get a name, the bigger the name, the better. But also you want them to be willing to do the project, because if they, like we lucked out, like Eden and those people, they, I didn't finish that story either, how we ended up getting them.
We got plenty of Google Hangouts to do. I didn't get to tell you my super secret producer term, which I'll tell you about on our next
Oh, this is going to be exciting. And Craigslist is the final one. You can find anything for filmmaking, Craigslist, and I've had only good experiences other than that one transcribing person. You don't, like, you can search through their credits and stuff like that, and they're all like legitimate people just looking for work. Just looking for work. Just looking for jobs, man.
There you go. So I would say that was the 3 things. I'm surprised we didn't use all of the graphics that you made. I'm sorry, we never got around to using the graphics. Kristina, you were awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Kristina.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super excited to support your film, and happy Ryan Sage is making another movie finally.
Yay. It takes forever.
It's been long enough. All right, it's been long. Everybody is waiting. People forgot about you already, but it's okay. We'll come back.
Everyone's waiting. My sister is waiting.
Oh, yeah.
You're one fan.
All right. Thanks so much, Ryan, too. Oh, sorry, Kristina, do you have something else to say?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for having me. Excited for you guys. Excited for this for the snow scene in LA. Excited for you to find snow in California.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, we need to kickstart that. And a good way to kickstart that is by heading to our Kickstarter page. Kickstarter.com, search for the word Temps. You can also just go to tempsmovie.com. There's a link directly there. Follow us on Twitter, @TempsMovie. Tell everybody you can to follow us on Twitter, @TempsMovie. We've also got an Instagram account, @TempsMovie. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TempsMovie. We've got this Google Plus presence, so we're not quite sure what to do with it. And you can send us questions for our next Google Hangout, which is happening this Monday, October 13th, 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Ryan Sage is going to be interviewing Lindsay Shaw, who's going to be interviewing with Ryan Sage. I'll be there, too, just to hang out.
It's going to be like therapy. Trust me, it's going to be good.
It's going to be a good one. I should bring my cards and have draw a card for Lindsay.
Oh, yes.
Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in and talking to us. We especially want to thank Rose for winning.
And Angela won, too.
Angela won, too, yes. Oh, well, Rose won again. There you go.
Did she beat
question.
I don't know if she did. We'll find out. Oh, it's very question. Oh, here's one last question.
Okay.
Would you repeat about the CC report and the rating costs? Hey, here's what we're going to tell you about the CC costs and rating report. Do you want to say that real quickly?
Yeah. They just want me to repeat what they are, what the costs are.
Yes, go.
I don't remember exactly how much the costs are, but like let me just do a guess of like E&O insurance is probably I think like $2,000. QC report is like 1,000.
And the cost of the ratings you wanted to know.
Oh, 25. I don't know if you know that for sure. Do you know that for sure?
I've heard that.
Okay. I don't actually know what that is.
Yes.
Google it.
A transcript is probably like $200, something like that. Closed captioning is I think like 200 and something bucks. Rough guesses, but that's.
Here's the biggest secret, though, that if you wanted to rehear anything that you heard on this live Google on this Google Hangout, it's going to be posted on our YouTube page, YouTube channel, YouTube/channel/Temps Movie. You can watch it over again, share it with your friends, just skip to the parts that you want to hear about, maybe, or whatever you'd like to do. This and every other Google Hangout we're going to be doing is going to be up on our YouTube channel. So
Matt clarified his question about online movie sites and such to get coverage. Online movie sites. I don't have a great answer for that, though. Well, I'm going to think about that, Matt, and then we'll get back to you. You can also email me at hello@ryansage.com.
Oh, you just give out your email address to the entire internet?
Yeah, all 4 of them. That's
okay. Fair enough. Or questions@tempsmovie.com. But anyway, you can rewatch this one and the one that's coming up on Monday, October 13th, 8 o'clock p.m. Ryan and Lindsay Shaw will be broadcast live, 8 o'clock Pacific time. Tell a friend. Thanks for winning, Rose. Thanks, Kristina.
Thank you, guys. Good luck with everything.
5, 4, 3, 2.